Have you ever been in that situation, maybe running a business, leading a team, where you just see people constantly walking out the door?
Oh, definitely.
Especially in those really tough, hands-on industries like construction.
Yeah.
And the immediate reaction, that knee-jerk thing, is leaders throwing their hands up saying,
These younger generations just don't want to work.
exactly, you hear it all the time.
You really do. And Anthony Procaccini, whose work we're digging into today, he points out that construction consistently deals with high turnover.
Right.
It's like one of the top challenges leaders expect. But he argues, just blaming a whole generation, that really misses the point.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because Procaccini offers this really thought-provoking counter-argument. He's saying the real problem isn't that people don't want to work. It's that we fundamentally misunderstand what actually motivates them. From your perspective, what's the biggest mistake leaders make there, especially in those tough fields?
That's a great question. I think the most common misconception is assuming everyone's driven by the same things.
Like money.
Usually money, yeah, or maybe some vague idea of, a love of learning. But Procaccini's work, it paints a much more nuanced picture.
So our mission here in this deep dive is really to explore how understanding these underlying motivations can fuel learning and commitment.
Right. How it can be the actual engine for that. And crucially, how leaders can tap into those really limited resources everyone has: time, energy, and attention.
And what really jumped out at me from Procaccini's view is that for skilled trades, it's usually not about some academic love of learning.
Not typically, no.
His research suggests it's way more fundamental, tied to core human needs. Survival, sure, but also pride, the chance to move up.
He calls it providing fuel for their soul.
Which is such a powerful phrase. It's not about getting a degree, it's about getting a life,
Exactly. And that's where a lot of traditional management ideas kind of fall flat. They offer incentives that just don't connect with what truly makes someone tick.
So what does this mean for you listening? Well, stick with us. By the end of this, you're going to get a handle on the 5 motivation types Procaccini identified.
Yeah, how most people show up at work, each with different wants, different needs.
And, maybe most importantly, we'll cover practical ways to actually inspire them no matter which type they are.
Okay, so motivation, Procaccini is super clear on this. It's not just a nice to have.
Right. Not just hoping people bring it with them.
No. He sees it as the actual engine. The
Right.
driving force behind learning and caring in the workplace. Get that right.
And other things start to fall into place.
Yeah, and that's more critical now than ever, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It feels like it's getting harder and harder to get people to really invest their time, their energy, their focus.
For sure. Think about all the distractions, every notification pulling at us.
Exactly. So for business owners, for managers, the #1 job has to be figuring out what truly motivates their people. New hires, veterans, everyone. How do you get them to bring their A game?
That makes total sense, conceptually. But, for some folks, especially in those high-pressure industries like construction, maybe low-margin industries, isn't it still mostly about the paycheck?
That's a fair point.
How does this framework deal with that reality if we're saying it's not just academic curiosity driving them?
Well, he tackles that directly. The drive for skilled trades, it's usually not academic. It is about fundamental human needs.
Okay.
So yes, survival, the paycheck, absolutely part of it, but also things like pride in the work itself, real craftsmanship.
And that upward mobility piece.
And that critical chance for upward mobility, yeah. Leaders who get this aren't just offering a wage, they're tapping into those deeper drivers that make people actually invest themselves, not just, punch the clock.
So thinking about those core needs, how does Procaccini start to categorize these different drivers? What are these 5 types he talks about? And how are they different from, say, personality types?
That's a really key distinction he makes. These aren't personality types. He talks about those separately. These 5 are about the different dimensions of want and need. What actually gets someone out of bed, keeps them going when it's hot or tough or frustrating.
What fuels their work ethic, basically.
Exactly. What brings them back day after day with some actual desire.
Okay, let's dive in. Type 1, the provider. Who's this?
The provider. This is someone inspired to succeed almost entirely for others, for their family, people they care about.
Oh, okay.
Work is how they show love, essentially.
Yeah.
They want to build a better life for their kids, often, ironically, so their kids don't have to work quite so hard.
Right. Stability, predictability, steady pay. That's key for them.
Above all else, yeah. Their why is simple, powerful, Feed the kids, support the family, stay out of trouble, maybe just prove they can hold down a job and provide.
So if you're managing a provider, how do you light that fire? You connect learning a new skill directly to,
To financial gain. Absolutely. You could say, learn this, you'll bring home more.
or maybe even frame it around security. Like, you nail this, you become indispensable. That's job security for your family.
Exactly. It's all about what it means for their loved ones. Where managers sometimes miss is trying to talk about abstract personal growth.
When what they really need is that concrete security.
Precisely.
Okay, next up. The prover.
The prover. This person is fueled by a need to demonstrate capability. To themselves, yes, but also very much to others.
Okay, so they wear their drive kind of openly.
Often, yeah. They're excited to learn because each new skill is like another arrow in the quiver. More tools, more mastery.
Right.
This is the person who might volunteer for the hardest jobs. Why? To prove doubters wrong, or even just to push past their own limits. They love a challenge.
So their why often comes from having that chip on their shoulder.
Could be wanting to prove they're not a screw-up, really hungry to rise based on their abilities.
So motivating them means challenges, acknowledging their effort.
Absolutely. Recognize their hustle, give them small leadership opportunities maybe, let them prove themselves.
So you might say something like, look, not everyone can handle this level of responsibility, but I think you probably could.
Exactly. That taps right into their core drive. And here's a surprising thing. They often respond more to the difficulty of a task than just, getting an easy win.
Interesting. Okay. Number 3, the peacekeeper.
The peacekeeper. Now, Procaccini points out a similarity here to the provider that they also seek stability, predictability,
Okay.
but they're often more maybe solo individuals focused on work-life balance, a harmonious existence.
They want to avoid drama, probably not looking for tons of overtime.
Exactly. They just want to come in, do a good job, and go home to their peace and quiet.
And Procaccini stresses this point, which I think is crucial. Just because they're motivated by harmony doesn't mean they lack motivation.
Not at all. It's a very strong motivator. Their why is avoid drama, stay out of trouble, do quality work, and kind of be left alone to do it well.
So trying to push a peacekeeper into like a high-conflict sales role or something?
Yeah, bad idea. It just won't fit. Motivating them is about calm, consistent coaching, and definitely avoid public correction or high-pressure tactics.
So maybe a manager might say, you've got a really steady, reliable way of doing things. Let's build on that consistency.
Perfect. They value that calm competence.
Okay, moving on. Number 4, the climber.
The climber. Now, this one can look a bit like the prover at first glance,
How so?
because they also want to prove themselves. But here's the key difference Procaccini identifies. The prover often seeks personal pride in their craft, mastering the skill itself.
Right.
The climber, their motivation is about ascending the ranks within the company.
Okay, so the prover might be happy being the best welder on the crew.
While the climber wants to become the crew lead, they want the next rung on the ladder, the title, the truck. They're aiming to be the developing boss, not just the master worker.
The distinction is huge. Their drive is for pride of position.
Exactly. They work to move up, get that company truck, manage a team. They're ambitious, definitely, but sometimes maybe a bit impatient too.
So motivating a climber means laying out the path.
Clearly mapping out career paths, yes. Tying training directly to the possibility of promotion. Giving them responsibility, but maybe in manageable, bite-sized chunks at first.
So you can say, look, if you can really master this next step, I'll look at letting you run your own job site sooner.
Yes. That speaks directly to their ambition. The mistake is treating them just like a prover who loves the skill for its own sake. The climber wants that skill to lead somewhere specific.
Got it. Okay, finally, number 5. And this one might surprise some people. The doubter.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, right? Motivation and doubt together. But Procaccini describes this person as essentially a less confident version of the prover.
Okay. How does that play out?
While the prover wants to prove to everyone else they know their stuff, the doubter's primary drive is to prove to themselves that they can actually do it.
So external praise might not hit the mark in the same way.
Often, no. They can be unconvinced by compliments, very focused on their own internal scorecard, always asking themselves, did I really do that right? Can I handle this?
Wow. Okay, so that's a massive insight for managers. Procaccini says praise for a doubter needs to focus on what?
On their decisions, their actions, the process they used, not just the final shiny result.
So instead of just, great job, project looks fantastic, you might say, hey, You know, back there when you had to make that call, that was exactly the right move, and that's why this project turned out so well. You're reinforcing their judgment.
I see. Their why is rooted in that self-doubt. They don't want to look dumb. They're unsure. But they're often quiet and very capable.
Exactly. So you motivate them by building confidence through small, achievable wins. Offer quiet, specific praise. And here's a great tactic. Once they master something, let them teach it to someone else.
Ah, because teaching it validates their own knowledge to themselves.
Precisely. You could say something simple like, the way you picked that up and figured it out, that's how the real pros start.
Ooh, okay, wow. So those are 5 really distinct fires, as Procaccini puts it.
But as a manager, you might be thinking, okay, I see the differences, but is there any common ground? Are there things that just work generally?
And Procaccini says yes, absolutely. There are universal tactics, especially useful in construction, that can help inspire pretty much everyone, regardless of their primary type.
The common thread. Okay, first one, and I love this. Praise effort, not perfection.
So important. It's about recognizing the grind, the attempt, the trying.
You could literally say, look, you didn't get it perfectly yet, but I see you putting in the work.
Yeah.
And that effort. That's what matters right now.
Exactly. For a doubter, that lowers the fear of failure. For a prover, it acknowledges their hustle. It builds resilience in everyone because you're celebrating the process.
Makes sense. What else?
Give responsibility early, even small stuff. Like, hey, can you lead the safety check this morning? Simple, low stakes. But it builds ownership. It shows trust.
And that resonates across types.
Yeah, a provider might see it as contributing to stability. A climber sees a tiny step towards leadership. A peacekeeper might just appreciate the clear, defined task. It signals trust, and that's universally motivating.
Okay. And how about using role models?
Don't underestimate that. Connecting someone's journey to a success story they can relate to.
Like, you kind of remind me of Mike when he first started out here. Now look at him. He's running his own crew.
Exactly. It's not just showing a potential path. It validates their potential now. Makes success feel more real, more achievable. Sparks ambition in a climber. Maybe builds quiet confidence in a doubter.
That's powerful. What else is universal?
This is a big one. Connect learning to tangible outcomes. Always link new skills to something concrete.
More money, less stress, more respect.
Right. Procaccini uses the example. You learn how to read these blueprints properly, and nobody's going to need to babysit you anymore.
Okay. So that's not just money for the provider. For a peacekeeper, maybe that means more autonomy, less hassle.
Exactly. For a climber, it's a clear requirement for the next step. It makes learning feel immediately valuable, not just some abstract exercise.
Got it. And finally,
make progress visible. Use simple tools checklists, maybe marking milestones, or even just quick verbal check-ins.
Like, hey, remember last week you were struggling with this? Look at you now. You've totally got the hang of it.
Yes. Seeing their own growth, actually recognizing it, is incredibly motivating for everyone. It feeds the doubter's need for internal proof, the prover's sense of mastery, the climber's feeling of forward momentum.
It shows them their time and energy are actually paying off.
Exactly. Concrete results.
So wrapping this all up, the bottom line from this deep dive is really motivation isn't one size fits all. Not even close.
No. It's about really paying attention, listening, observing, and then figuring out how to link success at work to those real-life outcomes that matter most to that specific person.
Whether that's money or pride or freedom, safety, respect, maybe even redemption for some.
It's about meeting people where they actually are, not where you assume they should be.
It really reframes how you think about what makes people tick at work, doesn't it?
It does.
So for you listening, maybe take a second to reflect on your own motivations. What really gets you going? What fuels your best work?
And if you lead people, or even just work closely with others, how could you start looking for that unique fire in them?
Because, as Anthony Procaccini puts it so well, if you can find their fire, you can shape their future.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many futures could we unlock? How many problems could we solve just by getting better at understanding what truly ignites the people around us?